you're watching this video, chances are your Google ads are not working, and I'm here to tell you it's probably not what you think. Most people blame bids, budgets, the algorithm. I've actually audited over 50 accounts. I think it was in the last 6 months. I was getting back the numbers. But the real issue I see is always one of these three things I'm going to mention to you. And it's really nothing to do with campaign settings. So let me show you what's actually broken. Here I have an account that we launched recently. Really working on scaling this up, but this is a recent launch. And I wanted to show you how we actually launch out the gates, the strategy that we use, the approach that we take to actually be successful. It's important to note the goal here is not ROAS with this account. It's to get a low cost per conversion because on the front end, we're selling samples and then people come back, buy larger quantities, and that's really where they get the return. So if that cost per conversion is profitable, then customer is happy. Again, so that's why if you're wondering why ROAS is only at 3-4x. But going back to it, the number one thing that you want to focus on is your feed. Now, you've probably heard this. It's almost like a buzzword now, but what does your feed mean? And I'm going to dive into that. We actually use a separate tool in order to actually optimize it and adjust it. But what I want you to remember or keep in mind is the product titles that you're pushing, the descriptions, the product identifiers, the product types. All of that is what actually sets up the targeting for Google, not the audience signal of the search themes that you have. Obviously, it does play a role, but if you're loading keywords at the start of the title, obviously like don't overdose it, but think about who you actually want to target, what type of searches you want to target, and make sure that is actually present at the start of the title. And if it's not, that's where you want to use a separate feed optimization tool to add that. And that way you don't add these keywords on your website. So on your website listing, they're not going to show up on the product page, but you're only editing it for the shopping ad specifically so that you can show a more tailored result to searchers, increase your CTR, get a lower CPC, and increase your conversion rate as well. So aside from the titles, I mean, for this client, titles were honestly outstanding, so I didn't have to do much optimization. But diving into the next point would be as part of feed optimization is actually how you categorize products. So we actually have a very specific strategy of doing it. We're doing it with custom labels here, because if you go into your account right now and you go click on the campaign, go to asset groups, listing groups, and you see that you're just targeting all products, what I'm going to tell you, and sorry for being the bearer of bad news, is you're probably targeting accessories and you're probably targeting products you don't want. So that's going to be a problem because Google is always going to push spend to the lowest hanging fruit. It's like you're giving it on a silver platter an opportunity to spend a ton of money because clicks for an accessory are easier to get the prices lower and it can match different searches. So the idea is you want to use custom labels to very clearly define which product types or which products, again, depends on how many categories you have, SKUs you have. You want to really clearly define what you want to target and exclude everything else from that specific campaign. And that's what's going to allow you to also measure and test how is this product category performing against another one. And that's why I like to use a feed-only Performance Max campaign, because we can also launch on a maximize conversions bidding strategy. Whereas with standard shopping, you'll be using manual CPC at the gate. But to show you how we actually set that up on the back end, I'm going to pause the screen share and re-enable in a second. All right, so we're actually in the screen share of the feed optimization tool. In case you're wondering, it's called Data Feed Watch. But what we're doing here is, instead of, like I said, targeting all products, we specifically categorize these products by different parameters. So just so you know, what this is called. So this is called a custom label, and you have up to 5 that you can add within each feed. Honestly, you just need one really to start, because within a custom label, you can add endless amounts of categories or buckets. And I'm going to explain what that means. So as you can see here, we added static value. What that means is just we're targeting like a specific product category. So we have pretty much product category and then the conditions of how a product can actually be pushed into this product category or label. And we have that for 4 different categories we want to target. Again, the way that you can do this depends on the number of SKUs you have. If you just have a few products, you can, again, just filter by those and just target a few SKUs within your campaign. This is for a higher SKU account. We have thousands here. So the strategy varies a little bit, but nonetheless, that's how we're structuring it. And notice how instead of us targeting all products as might be in your account, we negate pretty much all of the possibility of actually targeting accessories, getting spent on accessories, getting spent on products that we just know don't perform well. And especially if you're just launching with Google Ads, and you have a 5, 10K budget, launch with the best sellers, the ones that you know perform well organically on Meta or Amazon, test those out, and then you gradually add in more campaigns targeting newer product categories or different ones that you want to test out. Sometimes the data that Google will give you in terms of what's converting is different from Meta and Amazon and organic. So it's always important to test. But if you want to just get return off the bat, obviously target what already works. And just scale that upwards as high as you can. So anyway, back to the structure, you can see here, I set up conditions by the titles and tags. It's a little bit overkill, I would say, because all that you really need is, let's say we can call it X, like let's say X product category. You just have to make sure the tag actually includes X product category, and no one changes it on your backend in Shopify, for example, in the future, because then your custom label gets killed and it doesn't have any products because it can't find that tag. So I would say the best way to do it is just with tags. You can say, like I said, X product tag includes that X product. And we did that for 4 different categories. What we're doing here, we want to test out which categories perform the best, which ones don't get spent, and then we might funnel them into their own Performance Max campaign or a standard shopping campaign with a more aggressive target if we know they're performing well, but just don't have the opportunity to get enough spend. So that's really the idea with these custom labels, because like I said, you're strategically targeting, you strategically know exactly what you're targeting. And in a sense, you're also testing out products very clearly, because when you go to all products, it's a little bit annoying to look at, on the product level, what did well, especially when you have thousands of SKUs. Rather, when you look at category and a category as a whole isn't doing amazing or is doing amazing, very easy to make optimizations and changes off of that. The next thing I wanted to go over was product categorization. So what this really is you are telling Google what your products are, essentially. So alongside your titles, alongside your product identifiers, this is another way to solidify your targeting and very clearly indicate to Google, this is pretty much what my products are. So Google has actually, it's called like a taxonomy guide, but you can choose specific categories that are relevant for your product. So for us, what we did is if a title contains X keyword, then we want to add it to this category, because we know all products under that have that actual term in the title, they're relevant to this product category. And you can get really specific. Like what I would even do is you can search like your specific specific like keyword or product in this tab here, or in Google taxonomy, which I'll link in the description. You can find what's most relevant, and then you can add that as Google product to the category. And then we did that for a few other categories as well here. So we had a few different ones. So whatever is relevant to your business, I would say it's super, super important to set that up. But that's really the idea behind product categorization, and the importance of being able to do it here, and why you can't just, maybe you're thinking, why can't you just do this in Merchant Center, is the fact it's just too tedious. Because if you take the example of this store where we have thousands of SKUs, the fact in like 5 clicks of buttons, I can set this up rather than manually having to go through and actually add this, it's a huge difference. So I would definitely suggest using a tool to save your time, because especially as a business owner, why do you want to spend time doing low leverage tasks, or if you're a CMO as well? So that's what I would really mention. Those are 2 super important kind of fields that you want to make sure are filled out when you are running shopping campaigns, when you're running Performance Max campaigns, because otherwise it's really, really difficult to see success when you're not giving the proper data input. And this is also going to help with your search term quality, which was actually the next thing that I wanted to get into. Jumping back into the actual screen share of the account, what we did here, so I just went to the search term view. So if you click on where we were campaigns and then the specific campaign, and then you can look at search terms, you can actually look at this. In case you didn't know, Performance Max now has search term visibility. It's not search themes or search insights. You can actually look at search terms, especially if, this is applicable to both if you're a new account or a mature account. But if you're a brand new account, I literally go in here daily and I add negative keywords, because The key is you want to filter out as quickly as possible terms that you do not want to target, and push the algorithm in the right direction of targeting exactly what you want to target. So, I mean, I'm filtering by top 10 terms. We've been active for about 30 days, but this is all clicks that we want to be getting. These are our top 10 performers. So that's what you want to get into, because it really comes down to two things with targeting. It's how many terms can you actually exclude that are not relevant, and then you indicate to the algorithm, this is exactly what I want to target. And on the other front is what I was showing you before in the feed optimization tool, is adding custom labels, adding your product types. These were the two most pivotal ones for this account, but also making sure that you are adding keywords at the start of your title. And you can watch my data feed watch tutorial as well if you want to see more so an introduction to feed optimization, so you can do it yourself. But these are the most important things that you want to keep in mind, because that's how Google is going to know who to target. If we do the reverse example as well, where like you don't have product identifiers, you don't have keywords in your titles, and it's just your brand, it's really hard for Google to understand who to target, because you're just not giving it the information or the opportunity to do so. Think of your titles almost like your ad copy, but also your keywords in a sense too, because that's how Google understands what's relevant. So that's what I would say to make the job of Google easier for it to achieve better results. Put it in plain sight, what you want to target, what you want to show up for. Obviously, don't overdo it. You have 150 characters in the titles, but something to keep in mind. And when you're going to search terms, again, because you don't have keywords for performance max campaigns, for shopping campaigns, your exclusions are the indicator of what you're targeting. And oftentimes, you'll have to add hundreds or thousands of negative keywords until you've nailed down your search terms and okay, this is exactly what I want to target. So that's something to keep in mind. And the other actual third benefit, I would say, of having a clean feed is your CPCs are just cheap. And the way that you can identify as well if your feed is clean, you can go to Merchant Center. There's a quality score section. And if you have a high quality score, that means, you have an optimized Merchant Center. Your ranking is high. So it will reward you with cheaper CPCs, because it's easier for it to show you up higher, where another advertiser might have to pay $2 to show up in the same spot. We're paying 50 cents to, again, like I said, get sample sales, and then we get larger sales here as well. So that's really the preface I wanted to give of search terms. Super, super important. And the last thing that I wanted to go over was campaign structure. So what does that mean? The one thing that I want to leave you with after this video is every campaign should be fighting for an actual reason to be active. There's only two reasons a campaign should be active. One, it's actually driving sales for you, non-branded sales or branded sales. That both are fine, but the fact that it's actually driving sales. And number two is it's feeding another campaign. So let's say you have a YouTube campaign directly, because it's more top of funnel, you might not be seeing conversions, but that's getting funneled into the Performance Max, into the search campaigns, into your overall site-wide, you're getting more sales on Amazon, on organic. That's a different reason. But otherwise, there should be no reason, you really have a campaign if it's not feeding to something else. And in the extreme as well, people over segment. So the way that I showed you with the custom labels, if you take that example that I gave you, where we had four categorizations within the custom label, each of those should not be their own campaign, because they're all relevant to one category. They're almost like subcategories. And think about even the example here where we have a $150 per day budget, nothing crazy. To split this up into like a 45 or 45 or so, or 35 or so daily budget is not going to allow us to test every single category to its maximum potential. And it's just going to take us longer to get more data, because all of those conversions are segmented. So if we look at we're getting not that, if we're getting 52 conversions here funneled into one bidding strategy, so Google is optimizing it for within one bidding strategy, think of that divided by 4. Again, all of a sudden, Google has so many less conversions to collect data and optimize off of, to the point where, again, it's just going to have a harder time growing your account, because every time you grow budget in one, it doesn't have the data to feed off of, versus when it's meshed together with relevance and with the labels, it's very easy for it to say, okay, this is we have this kind of bucket of converters. Let's go on to that new audience. Let's target some more people to increase how many conversions we're getting, because all of that data is funneled into one bidding strategy. It makes sense to segment when you have something not relevant to these products that you're targeting, because the search terms are very specific and make sense for this theme of products or product categories. And that's why we have another Performance Max campaign, because it's a different product category. And we want to test at a lower budget and just, warm it up a little bit, see how see its potential to perform. And same thing, we have another one as well. But mostly budget is funneled to what's working. And then we have a little bit of budget allocated to what's, we want to test out, and then also more so a small brand campaign, about 20% of budget, and then also a remarketing campaign. So again, in any account that I go to, I can explain, what purpose each campaign serves. But if you're just looking and you have 30 campaigns and then you have 5 that they're getting like $200 per month in spend, and then the daily budget's like 1,000, well, it's hard to understand what purpose that actually serves. And I see that in audits, where a lot of times campaigns could be just combined together for efficiency's sake, just also to make the campaign structure or the account structure easier, because not everything is separated into its own. It's not segmented to death, as I like to call it. So be clear, be intentional with why a campaign is its own campaign, or an ad group is its own ad group. The approaches before, where you had like single keyword ad groups, if you're running ads back then, it doesn't work anymore. And you really just want to be very clear with the data and signals that you're providing Google. And that's what I was trying to get to with the feed, with the search terms. And that way you can just scale up your budget very, very simply. And that's what we're going to do with this account. So hopefully you found this useful. If you want to actually get an audit of your account, something a little bit different, I created an app that just literally insta audits within 10 seconds. You just input a campaign report, you just download a CSV of search terms, upload it into the app. It's going to spit out 3 suggestions for you and what actions you can actually take. No human required. You don't even need to get on a call with me or anything. I'll have that app in the description. Feel free to use it. And I'll see you in the next video.